Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dave Roberts. I'm the Capital Projects Manager here at Woodland Pond, and this is our weekly update as to what's going on with our planned expansion. Of course, the big thing this week was that we had the planning board meeting on Tuesday evening, and I have to apologize to those of you that tuned in for it because it was a very much to do about nothing. A lot of waiting. And then we were probably on for about 10 minutes. I think I said good evening to everybody, and that was about it. But there's an upside to that because we achieved what we wanted to within that meeting. And what I mean by that is that the planning board voted to refer our project to the Ulster County Planning Board. So that's a good step. Their planning board meeting is on January the 8th. And so that just means that they'll do their review of our project, and that keeps our timeline. And then the other thing that the planning board did was they voted to open the public hearing on January 21st. So that's a significant meeting for us because that's the opportunity for the public to come in and make comments about their concerns or whether they're in favour of the project. That's where that'll happen. Public hearings, the intention here is not for the public to address the applicant, but rather to address the planning board. It's not a question and answer session at all. It's just a opportunity for them to express, how they feel about it, and then the planning board can respond if they, feel like they want to. But it's not really, like I say, a question and answer. It's not meant to be a back and forth. So those are the two, upcoming dates. And even though that was a pretty lackluster meeting, not very interesting, or not very, it achieved what we wanted it to do in that meeting. So that's good for us. I also got a fair bit of done on the Sunday New York Times crossword, which allowed me to kind of listen in, but remain relaxed while I was getting impatient about how slow things were going. The other thing that we've been doing this week is we have been once again doing some design direction meetings. These are called page turns, where we actually go through the documentation, literally page by page, just to review the scope and nature. So it's not the actual selected materials, but it's starting to give us the character of what we're considering in each of the spaces. This week we had the second and third of those meetings. They're all about 2 hours long, so they're pretty long sessions, but very, very valuable in terms of making sure that we have the right scope, that we're all on the same page as to the sort of character of the spaces and the actual design direction. And then we have Wilson, our construction managers, who are also sitting in those meetings. And each time we're making sure, do you have the scope of this tile? Is that reflected in our budget at the moment? If it's not, do we need to adjust up or down on that? So they're tracking that all the way through. And it's just a way for the whole team to make sure that everything's captured, both in from a scheduling, design, and costing perspective. So really good meetings, long. That's why we've broken it up into several different sessions. So I'm just going to share my screen here so that you can, get a sense of what we've been looking at from a design perspective. And you'll see that, first of all, we were looking at the wellness area. You're all very familiar with these views, I'm sure. This is once again, the reflected ceiling plan. So this is as if you were lying on the floor and looking up at the ceiling. I'm not going to bore you by going through each element. I mean, that's what we do in the meeting. But what you'll see is, some elements here in the salon. There's a sort of interesting curvilinear section. The grid here is acoustic ceiling tile, and then this, what you see here, this sort of speckled is sheetrock. But anyway, what we're looking at is a kind of a more spa-like feel here. This room here obviously is the exercise area for yoga, pickleball, and so on. That ceiling will be made higher. And then in the existing exercise room where the equipment is, introducing a wood ceiling, so it has a sort of a more organic and calming feel in there. So that's just the reflected ceiling plan. This is the floor finish plan. We had a lot of discussion about what floor finishes will be there in the exercise room. That's the existing pack, of course. We're looking at having a sports floor, so it's a little bit softer in there, and also sound absorption is introduced in that space, and actually sound attenuation in the walls as well, to make sure that the noise from some of those classes doesn't permeate into the adjacent spaces. Out of this meeting, we're sort of refining the floor plan. So what that means is we're thinking, this massage room, we want more space in this exercise room. So the massage room will probably move over to the quiet wellness lounge area, and looking at how we might expand where all the equipment is in the exercise room to accommodate, our future needs there. Also, a lot of discussion about bathrooms. Should we have a second shower in there? Can we do that? So there's some of the things that we're walking through at that level. There's the furniture plan, gives you a little bit of an idea. Pretty preliminary in terms of the equipment layout. It's going to be a little bit different to what we show here. So then we started to look at some of the materials, and this is very preliminary, and we actually pushed back on, you see this metal glazing here. We felt like that wasn't very in tune with Woodland Pond. We tend to have more wood-framed glass doors and windows. So we're changing that, and also once again, we sort of feel like this is a little cold, a little grey. So if the designers are going to come up with several other options which bring in sort of more nature and also warmer hues. Similar with the art studio, you see a vinyl tile floor here that'll look like wood, but the vinyl tile obviously is very serviceable in terms of, if there's paints and water and that sort of thing, being able to clean up after the various art programs. And so these are some of the elevations for the art space. And what it's representing is a lot of millwork in there, vertical storage for projects in progress, and these shelves above, so that if there's ceramic works or paintings that need to be stored away while they're in between sessions, there's plenty of storage there to make sure that they are safe and looked after, and they're also not cluttering up the workspace. So often it's the success of storage spaces that increase the amenity of workspaces. And so we're really kind of thinking about the best way to accommodate all kinds of different storage and so on. And we have a sink in that room. In the plan here, that millwork is running along this wall. We have a big skylight in this space, which will lend itself to the area for working on ceramics, but also for things like life drawing and so on, studio drawing. So a lot of thought going into that. In the classroom, We will have a folding partition, and I think this is going to be really useful to maximizing the use of that room, so that if we just have, say 6 or 8 or a dozen people, you can actually have two different things going on at the same time and get double benefit out of that space. But then when you have a larger group of 20 or 30 people, you can fit them all in the classroom for a single session. That'll be well supported with a hearing loop, with AV equipment and so on. So I think that's going to be, we all know how much use that room, the classroom gets at the moment, and we'll only be improving on that amenity. Swimming pool, we're looking at, some additional tile in there. We are upgrading the floor surface in there. I think you probably know about that. And this is kind of interesting too, is that thinking about some sort of digital wall covering in there that would provide, some sort of nice decorative image within the pool space. The pool bathrooms will get a really nice upgrade to feel more spa-like and relaxing. I really like the look here. Once again, we've said, look, we like grays, but we want to warm this up and make it feel a little more warmer than what they're presenting at this time. Excuse me. These are also bathrooms. That there's an additional bathroom that services the wellness lounge and the salon and the massage. One discussion we had was the interior designers were talking about having selecting artwork for this area, and we said, well, we don't need you to purchase artwork. We have so many artists here. And so we're talking about a way of curating residence artwork into various spaces around the campus, so that they fit with the design, but so that we can really, get as much residence art up as much as possible. So that's also in dining rooms as well, that you'll see later. Here's some images from the fitness area. Colors for the sheet flooring. And then, once again, there's millwork shelving and cupboards there to support storage of yoga mats and weights and, all those sorts of things. And then in the fitness room, once again, carpet tile, more of a geometric pattern here, and then putting a wood ceiling like this in the exercise room. So, that's once again trying to make things warmer and more interesting in those spaces. Wellness corridor lounge. This fireplace image, we're not looking at doing that. We're going to have a more sort of traditional fireplace. And then when you look at the salon, they have some screening elements so that you can see into the salon from the main corridor. But if you're getting your hair done and so on, there's screening so that you don't feel like you're in a fishbowl and people are just looking in on you. And some really nice tones and very rich materials there, lovely lighting to once again make it feel more spa-like and luxe. There, the millwork elevations, you can see they have lovely backlit oval mirrors and tile in that space, which of course makes it very practical and serviceable, but also it's not just regular tile, it's a more sort of luxurious tile that they're looking at utilizing in the salon. I'll just run you through also some of the library and dining. This is well, you're all familiar with this, it's existing library. And now, once again, trying to introduce more wood in some spaces, in parts of the library ceiling, and a warmer carpet. And also, some of this high wall, they sort of said it's funny because it's a high space, but you don't really tend to look up there. And so looking at ways of adding artwork in that space so that you kind of appreciate the nice tall space that it is. And then, the game room we talked about, with this sort of carpet, which has, sort of blue and also the nice earth tones as well. And then in the dining room, we're familiar with the pub and cafe, and this is just a start to look at some of the decorative elements. Some of these openings to the verandas will have these metal um, uh, sort of feature gateways, and then some tiled floor that looks like that has a wood appearance. And when we look at and also I will say, at the end of the corridor, they like this radiant map, which is a backlit map. And the idea is that we could have some representation of the Hudson River and so on as a decorative element at the end of that corridor, which I think is a really lovely idea. Um, so I'm going to leave it there for today. There'll be more to talk about next week. I will be doing an update next Friday. So I hope you all have a great holiday, and I'll talk to you next week. All right, thank you.